Hi, today I'm going to be sharing how to apply for British citizenship if you have a ILR, which is indefinite leave to remain, or ILE, which is indefinite leave to enter the UK, and how to fill up the form and how to make sure that what are the key points that you need to bear in mind to have a successful outcome. So, citizenship if you have indefinite leave to remain or settled status. Click here and you will scroll down, and at the bottom you'll get how to apply. The application cost for this is £1,735, which is quite a lot, in which there is £130 citizenship ceremony fees already included in it. That is per applicant. Now, in order to apply, we will click on fill in the form online. Are you making this application, your application from the UK? The answer is yes. Now we will go down, click apply now. We need to enter our email address. So I'm going to enter my email address. Then you can select. You'll be asked to confirm your password. So please make sure you have done that. And here I'm going to say this email has been sent for verification. I'm going to continue. Now here is where you will select yourself as an applicant. If you're filling it on behalf of someone, then you can select either one of those if you fall into this category. So, do you have an immigration advisor based in the UK? The answer is no. And now you will be answering the questions. Click continue and we will start answering the questions. Are you completing this form on behalf of someone else? The answer is no. And I'm going to write the name of the applicant. This is fictitious, by the way. So I'm going to say Robin is the person, Robin Sharma, and he is applying. Have you been known to the current name and by any other name? Now this is relevant especially for people who have been married in Asian cultures where you take the husband's surname and your names have changed, or if you've changed your name then you will select yes. But in my case the person has not changed the name. Select no. This is your email to contact, pretty simple. And then you need to provide your number, contacted by telephone while in the UK. Then you have to write your address. So I'm going to say, I'm going to find the address from the drop down menu. So I'm going to say it's 8 Shaftesbury Road. Is this where you live? The answer is yes. And I'm going to say I've been living here since October 2020. Save and continue. Have you lived at your current address for 5 years? If the answer is yes, say yes. If no, then you need to mention your previous address. Now, this is where you will actually select where you want your oath ceremony to take place once your application is successful. This person lives in East London in Newham, so I am going to select Newham Council. This is the council. Save and continue. Sex is male. Status is single. If you're married, then write married. Save, continue. This chap is from India, born in India. Place of birth, Delhi, and he was born on 1st of January 2000. I'm just making it simple. These are fictitious details. And do you have a passport? So you provide the number. I provided the number. It was issued by the Republic of India, issued on 1st of January 2018, and it is valid till 1st of January 2028. Do you have a biometric residence permit? Now, this is an important one. BRPs used to be valid till 31st of December 2024. However, they've been replaced by e-visas. So if you got the old BRP, even though it's expired in the last 18 months ago, you should say yes. If you got e-permit, then you should write the e-permit number. Otherwise, you can select no. So I'm going to just, for the sake of example, I'm going to just copy this one. Say continue. Do you have a valid national identity card? Usually in India, you have PAN card, Aadhaar card, but in my case, there is none. I'm going to say no. Do you hold or have you ever held any other nationality, citizenship? The answer is no. Have you been granted indefinite leave to enter or remain in the UK? Now, this is where I need to pause a little bit and help you understand. Now, these are the grounds based on which you can claim British citizenship, other than by being born, depending on which year you were born, whether your parents had a settled status or not. So, indefinite leave to enter and remain both are settled status. Indefinite leave to enter is granted from outside of the UK, and indefinite leave to remain is actually granted when you are inside the UK. So, I'm going to say the answer is yes. Now, you would need to write the date on which you were granted. So, I'm going to say 30th of July 2020. So this date is usually written in the letter which is sent to you, or on the top of your vignette where it's written by clear date. This should not be confused by the date you entered the UK. This is the date when you were granted. Okay, was your indefinite leave to enter or remain granted under EU settlement? The answer is no. EU settlement mainly relates to Switzerland and other countries, which is not relevant for this video. Do you have a national insurance number? If you have one, write one. If you don't, just say I don't. So, have you passed the life in the UK test? So, besides having a settled status in the UK for British citizenship, you need to meet three more requirements. First is you must have passed the life in the UK test, which is all about do you understand the British traditions? It's a standardized test, it's pretty easy, and you would get a reference number. Okay, so please enter the reference number. There are many test centers in the UK, you should be able to pass it. Once you've done that, the second requirement is to prove your knowledge of English language. Either you have a degree that's been taught in English, or if you're not able to prove, then you must have given a test like IELTS or TOEFL from a secured, authorized, testing center, right? And it's pretty easy. And you need to have achieved at least level B1. Now, there is an important fact which I'm going to discuss in the next part. Do you have a previous visa, entry clearance, or leave to remain where you had to prove your knowledge of English? For example, if you were applying for indefinite leave to remain where you had to prove your knowledge, you had to say yes. Which visa? So I would say ILR. And did you meet the requirements, English language requirement as part of indefinite leave made on or after 28th of October 2013? So what they're asking is if you've applied after this date, did you achieve the level B1? Right. So whichever test that you gave, did you achieve this result to prove your knowledge? So you usually you would have a certificate, and if that was accepted for this purposes, then it is okay. But there is an important point here. However, if this qualification was not used and accepted for settlement application, it cannot be used. So please make sure if you wanted to apply for indefinite leave to remain and you sat for IELTS test and it was accepted, then use the same test score and the same reference number. You don't have to sit again. And you say yes. Do you have a degree that was taught in English? In this case, if your answer is yes, select yes. In my case, the person who has not studied in English. So have you passed the approved language test? The answer is yes. So did the test assess your speaking, listening skills at equivalent level to B1 or higher? So you can find the approved language test. IELTS is one. The answer is yes. So do you have an online reference number? It's a separate reference number that you get now once you pass the test, and it's immediately, or you get a certificate. I would say I have a certificate. Now you have to enter your parents' details. So I'm going to enter my parents' details. So I'm going to just say Usha Sharma, and nationality is Indian. Have they always had same nationality? Yes. Now you select father and you select Naresh and you say Sharma. He was born on 13th January 1950. He was born in Mumbai. He was born in India. So it's pretty simple. It's not something really complicated, but it becomes complicated when you have to provide certain calculations. Have they always had the same nationality? So this is an important disclosure. Do not take it lightly. So if you have already have a settled status, whether you're married to a British citizen as a spouse holding settled status, or you have indefinite leave to enter or remain in the UK, you must not have a criminal conviction. You should try make sure that you don't have any disqualification, no motor insurance, speeding. You're not awaiting a trial. You don't have a caution or warning. You don't have a judgment against you, because sometimes what can happen is you've not paid the rent to your landlord. He brought proceeding against you that will go against you. So make sure that is not the case. The answer is no, I have never had these. I'm not on the sex offenders register, not been declared bankrupt, I don't have any dependents. I have no war crimes, no terrorist activities, no terrorist organizations, and no terrorist views. Now, a person of good character is a requirement and pretty important one. So they're asking in the first question, have you worked for non-UK government in paid or unpaid capacity that you know to be dangerous? The answer is no. Have you ever engaged in activities that might indicate that you're not a person of good character? The answer is no. Is there any other information about your character or behavior that you would like to make us or aware of? The answer is no. Please do not confuse it with medical condition if you have one. Okay. Now, here is another important requirement. First is live in the UK test. Second is you need to have English language B1 level, or if you've been taught in a degree that is of English standard. And then third is you need two referees who must be British citizens and they should have known you for a minimum of 3 years. Now, there is a usually a list of regulated professions like solicitor, chartered accountant, doctor, and other professions in the list, which sometimes when you will look at it, you will not know those people. I've had a recent case in last October where I had two people, they knew no one. So what you need to do in that case is find a work colleague or a friend who is a British citizen. The only advice or suggestion that I would make is if you have a friend, there are two friends, husband and wife, both of them are British, they are in the same family, like as husband and wife, you cannot use both of them as referees. You need to only use one of them, and then you need to find someone else from your probably workplace or somewhere else that you know, and they can confirm that they are British and they know they've known you for more than 3 years. So let's select Mr. I'm going to say uh, Tammy and say Beckham. She's sorry, it's not Mr. It's Mrs. And I'm just making these up, but you should write the address, exact address where these people have been living. Have they ever lived? Have they lived at this address for more than 3 years? The answer is yes. If the answer is no, select that one. What is their phone number? Their email? And please make sure that they know that your email is not getting into the spam. It's really important. And she is an engineer. Does she have a British passport? The answer is yes. So then enter the British passport number. And then how do you know that? So you can say we are neighbors for 5 years and we have socialized on many occasions. Many okay. One second. Socialize many times during, for example, Christmas and birthday parties. She has known me. Okay, that's it. You don't need to write anything more. Second reference, there's a male person. I'm going to say he is Hugh and he's Ackman. He's male. His date of birth 12th 1 2002. His address London E14 5AF. Has he lived at the same address? The answer is yes. Phone number, email address. So you can say you at hotmail.com, for example. He is a chartered accountant. Does your referee have a passport? The answer is yes. So I put the number. And how does this referee know? You can write, he is my line manager in the company I am employed since 2020. That's it. Now, here you need to list all the applications that you made inside the UK or outside of the UK to come to the UK. So the answer is yes. Whether you came on a visitor's visa or business visit visa, or you applied for indefinite leave to enter, you have to list each and everything. Please go through each and every page of your current passport and old passports and try to list it from the latest visit to the oldest visit, not the other way around. Okay, so I'm going to just list one visit. So the name of the guy is Robin Sharma, and the date of application, if you know, it's fine. If you don't know, you give the reference number. Reference number is usually given on the sticker on the right hand side, which you can find. Was this application made in the UK? Well, you can say yes, it was made in the UK. Were your fingerprints taken as a part of application? The answer is yes. If you know the date when it was taken, give it. If you don't know, then it's completely okay. If you made the application from outside the UK, you need to tell where you went, where you made the application from. And usually this is the part where you enter several times, like I went, I applied from New Delhi, then Mumbai, then I came to the UK, then so on and so forth. Okay, don't miss out on anyone. Any other previous application? The answer is no. Have you been previously married or in a civil partnership? Now it's possible that you could be single, but you were divorced and you were married before. If you were married, don't hide it, write it here. Otherwise, just say no. If you had children with somebody else, right? Currently, what happens is people are married, they have their own children, and what they're trying to ask is, other than the children that you have right now with the current partner, do you have any other children with somebody else? Okay, answer is no. And are you employed? Say yes if you are. And you are head of finance as an employee. Employer name, right? I'm making Amazon UK. And you write 10 State Street Bank, Canary Wharf, London, and E14. Write the full postcode and the date of your start of your employment. So, please provide the month if you're not sure. So, my suggestion is go back to your employment contract, or contact your employer to find out exact date of your employment, because you don't want to make a mistake. So, I said I joined on 10th of November 2020, and there is a reference number that is given on the tax return or on the payslip. Put that one. Okay. Now, this is the date they want to know arrival in the UK, because now what is required of you is, based on which you're claiming citizenship, is there is something called qualifying period. Now, the qualifying period for people who are on ILR or ILE, if they're not a spouse, is 5 years. Okay, in 5 years you need to be in the country for no more than, means you should have not been outside of the UK for more than 450 days in total 5 years, and 12 months before the application you would have not been outside of the UK for more than 90 days. This is really important, and you see it's written here. And you should have not entered the country illegally. So you say, when did you first arrive in the UK? This is the date when your passport was stamped. Say I arrived on, for example, 10th of September 2020, and I arrived at London Heathrow Airport. So there is usually a stamp. So this is the date on which you actually entered the UK. This date could be different from the date when you were granted the visa. So please do not confuse that. So open your passport, look at the date when you entered the UK and there was a stamp. Okay, click next. Have you made trips outside the UK? Look, if you did not, it's pretty easy. Just say no. That means you stayed inside the UK. If you travel outside the UK, which people do for holidays, I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say I visited India. For example, Robin went to India, holidays, to attend wedding, for example. Simple. And departure date first 2022. And he went for 31st of March. Not March, say 31st of January 2022. So he was out there for almost 30 days. Then there was another additional trip. I'm going to say yes. He went to Germany. You have to list all the trips, but any trip that is less than 2 days, you should not mention that. Yeah, there it is. You can have a look. Okay. So, for example, this time you went on business trip and you went say on 1st of December 2024, or let's make it interesting, 25, and you came back on say 10th of December 2025. Now, let me pause. Like I said, in the last 12 months before the application, so if you're applying in January 2026, what they're saying is from this date of application, if you look back the past 12 months, you should have not been outside of the UK for more than 90 days. Here, just went for 10 days, okay? But you still need to mention that. Save and continue. Any other trips? The answer is no. And the system will automatically calculate the number of days actually you were inside the UK. Do you plan to make UK main home? Yes. Do you meet the requirements? The answer is yes, because you met these requirements. You can have a look. Are there any special circumstances which is why you cannot meet the requirements? The answer is no. Here the answer is no also. And do you have any other information that you would like to be considered regarding this applicant and their application to be registered as British citizen? I always recommend that you use this space because it gives the context to the naturalization case assessment officer that if you entered some information but you did not have any space. For example, you say, I do not personally, personally know any solicitor or regulated activity person for any length of time. Therefore, I have opted for my neighbor and my line manager who have personally known me for more than 3 years. They are both British and their contact details with declaration are provided. Now, once you've written like this, sometimes people get bogged down by the fact that they don't know a solicitor. So they think that they should go to a solicitor, pay 300 or 400 pounds for them to just authenticate that, yes, I can be a referee. That you should not do. Clearly, do not lie there because they will make the check. They will want to know how do you know this person, right? Who's a neighbor and all of that. They do check that. So make sure that you only recommend people who have known you. They could be at your work, they could be a friend. But the only advice I would do is if you have got two people in the same family, they're related like husband wife, they both are British in the same family, you cannot use both of them in this application. You can only use one. Then you need to find someone else. Okay. Now the form is complete. You scroll through down. If you want to change anything, you can click change and you'll be able to save it. If you don't want to complete the form in one go, you can always come back and you can log in again. Now what will happen is we'll go down, click continue. And if you want to add another person like a wife, because this person was single, so I just kept it to one. But if you got children also, you can select children also. Then it will become a bundle application and the cost of application would be increased by the number of applicants. So for one applicant, the application fees is £1,735. If you have two, then it will be double of that. Okay. Now, these are the documents that are required of you. I'm going to go one by one and I'm going to take some time to help you understand because this is exactly what will determine whether you get British citizenship or not. First of all, you need to scan all the pages, even the blank ones, in a chronological order like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. In a colored format, and you need to save it as PDF. Make sure you have medium compression, not very strong compression, so that the images are not blurred. The reason why they want to have the copies because you don't actually have to physically send your passport with the citizenship application. You only upload your copy, and what they want to see is, for example, the number of visits that you've done outside of the UK, right? When you enter the UK, so there'll be stamps. Second, they want to see your indefinite leave to remain in the UK, that stamp, if you had that when you entered the UK. So they will go through each and every page. What people sometimes do is they don't include the pages in the order, or they sometimes remove the blank pages. Please do not do that. Otherwise, your application would be rejected or could be delayed. It's also here. So these two referees, basically, it will be a PDF form, which I will show you later. in which there'll be a photograph of you. You will need to write the name at the back. They will need to write your date of birth, and at the end, they will sign it. That's it. And once you've done that, we say save and continue. Here, do that. So now, once we have confirmed the email address, you get this two declaration forms that you have to download. It is in PDF. It will show an image. Once you fill it up, I mean, this has to be filled by the referees. So make sure you take the two copies, and each of the form has to be referred by the other person. So you will have referee one, referee two. Once you've done that, you click save and continue. My bad. 1 second. Save and continue. And I understand that application receives calculates normally. And here you confirm that you're the applicant, and you'll be supporting evidence, providing supporting evidence and information relating to the application. I accept the above. And then the final declaration that I understand the date of my application will be the date on which the home office receives it, and calculations will normally be made on that basis. And then you say continue yes. Now there is the part you have to pay the fees. This is the step. Now I will stop here and I will not go any further because for that I have to pay. But this is all fictitious data just to help you understand. So this is if you had one applicant, you will pay this amount of money, which includes the group ceremony fees also. Once you made the payment, you'll get a confirmation and a big unique reference number. Let me show you one that is on the right hand side of the screen. This reference number that you will be used to log in into a website called TLScontact. Now, TLScontact is a third party provider. What they will do is they will give you an opportunity to book the appointment for biometrics, where they will take your fingerprint scan and facial recognition. And also, you will upload the documentation, supporting documentation, and always upload a cover letter simply saying I'm showing one on the screen, but I'm not going to show everything because this was successful and this was private. So normally you say I'm applying for the application for British citizenship on the grounds that I hold indefinite leave to remain or enter. I went out of the country 2 times, if you went out 2 times, and that was in the statutory time limits. In order to substantiate my application, I have provided documentation and uploaded them in TLS contact. The documentation includes for proof of residence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like employment copy, tax return copy, council tax copy, tenancy agreement copy, or mortgage deed copy. And then you can show also photographs. In order to prove my indefinite leave to remain in the UK, I have provided my passport copy, my BRP copy, and also the stamp. In order to show my visits outside of the UK, I've shown a ticket and my stamps on the passport. As requested, I've also attached the copies of my current and old passport in a chronological order in a colored format so that you can see all my visits to the UK and outside of the UK. And I hope I have provided all the information that you've requested. If you put a cover letter like this, right, when the case officer is going to look at the information that you have in the PDF form and the cover letter that you've seen, and then they go documentation by documentation, it gives them a trail to follow. Otherwise, if you just upload the document without proper referencing and the naming, it becomes difficult for them. If it becomes difficult for them, it takes more time. Once you receive the decision, which most likely if it is favorable, then you will be invited to book your citizenship ceremony. It would look like this, and then you have to wait for a day or two where the council would confirm that we have received your naturalization certificates. Then you go and take the oath. Once you've taken the oath, then you have become British, and then you have to return back. You have to fill up a British passport application form with the naturalization certificate number and the issue date, and hopefully in 2 weeks or 3 weeks you will get a British passport in your hand. So I hope the video was worth it, and I have given as much detail as possible. Again, I reiterate, every situation is quite different. Please do not take it as legal advice. It is for educational purposes only. Till next time, take care.